Hare Krishna, Dhanusana Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, dear devotees. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Okay, we'll start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminate Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा okay. So this is a very auspicious week. Of course, like we said yesterday, we celebrated Prabhupada's arrival in the USA, 60th anniversary. So it was a very wonderful festival in Boston yesterday. This week, we're going to have a very wonderful festival in Cincinnati of Sri Jagannath Rath Yatra Ki Jai. So this week, we will, of course, know points for guessing what bhajan we are going to sing. So we are going to sing Jagannath Ashtakam so that we can set our mood and mission for organizing a wonderful third annual Jagannath Rath Yatra this week. So let's sing Shri Jagannath Ashtakam by Sripad Adi Shankaracharya so that we can develop the mood of separation that we have from Jagannath and we can pull the cart of the Lord into our hearts. Okay, so we'll sing and then we'll read the translation. कदाचित् कालिन्दी तटविपिनसङ्गीतकरवो मुदाभीरी नारी वदनकमलास्वादमधुपः रमाशम्भु ब्रह्मा मरपतिगणेशार्चितपदो जगन्नाथः स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे भुजे सव्ये वेणुं शिरसि शिखिपिच्छं कटितटे दुकूलं नेत्रान्ते सहचरकटाक्षं विदधते सदा श्रीमद्वृन्दावनवसति लीलापरिचयो जगन्नाथः स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे महाम्बोधेस्तीरे कनकरुचिरे नीलशिखरे वसन् प्रासादान्तः सहजबलभद्रेण बलिना सुभद्रा मध्यस्थः सकलसुरसेवावसरदो जगन्नाथः स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे कृपापारावारः सजलजलद श्रेणिरुचिरो रमावाणी रामः स्फुरदमलपङ्केरुहमुखः सुरेन्द्रैराराध्यः श्रुतिगणशिखागीतचरितो जगन्नाथः स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे रथारूढो गच्छन् पथिमिलितभूदेवपटलै स्तुतिप्रादुर्भावं प्रतिपदमुपाकर्ण्य सदयः दयासिन्धुर्बन्धुः सकलजगतां सिन्धुसुतया जगन्नाथः स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे पराब्रह्मापीडः कुवलयलोत्फुल्लनयनो निवासी नीलाद्रौ निहितचरणोऽनन्तशिरसि रसानन्दो राधा सरसवपुरालिङ्गनसुखो जगन्नाथः स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे न वै याचे राज्यं न च कनकमाणिक्यविभवम् न याचेऽहं रम्यां सकलजनकाम्यां वरवधूं सदा काले काले प्रमथपतिना गीतचरितो जगन्नाथः स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे हर त्वं संसारं द्रुततरमसारं सुरपते हर त्वं पापानां विततिमपरां यादवपते अहो दीने नाथे निहितचरणो निश्चितमिदं जगन्नाथः स्वामी नयनपथगामी भवतु मे जगन्नाथाष्टकं पुण्यं यः पठेत् प्रयतः शुचिः सर्वपापविशुद्धात्मा विष्णुलोकं स गच्छति हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे श्री जगन्नाथाष्टकम की जय श्री पाशंकराचार्य की जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय Okay, we'll read the translations. Anybody would like to read the translation today?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Jai. Yes, Meenu Mataji, please.
Sometimes in great happiness, Lord Jagannath makes a loud concert with his flute in the groves on the banks of the Yamuna. He is like a bumblebee, tasting the beautiful lotus-like faces of the cowherd damsels of Braja, and great personalities such as Lakshmi, Shiva, Brahma, Indra, and Ganesha worship his lotus feet. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. In his left hand, Lord Jagannath holds a flute. On his head, he wears a peacock feathers, and on his hips, he wears a fine yellow silken cloth. From the corners of his eyes, he bestows sidelong glances upon his loving devotees, and he always reveals himself through his pastimes in his divine abode of Vrindavan. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. On the shore of the great ocean, within a large palace atop the brilliant golden Nilachala hill, Lord Jagannath resides with his powerful brother Balabhadra and his sister Subhadra, who sits between them. May the Jagannath Swami, who bestows the opportunity for devotional service upon all godly souls, be the object of my vision. Lord Jagannath is an ocean of mercy and as beautiful as row of a blackish rain clouds. He is the storehouse of bliss for Lakshmi and Saraswati. His face resembles a spotless, full-blown lotus. The best of demigods and sages worship him, and the Upanishads sing his glories. May the Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. When Lord Jagannath moves along the road of his Rath Yatra car, at every step, large assemblies of Brahmanas loudly chant prayers and sing songs for his pleasure. Hearing their hymns, Jagannath becomes very favorably disposed towards them. He is the ocean of mercy and the true friend of all the worlds. May that Jagannath Swami, along with his consort Lakshmi, who was born from the ocean of nectar, be the object of my vision. Lord Jagannath, whose eyes resemble full blown lotus petals, is the ornament on Lord Brahma's head. He resides on Nilachala hill with his lotus feet placed on the heads of Anantadeva. Overwhelmed by the mellows of love, he joyfully embraces Srimati Radharani's body, which is like a cool pond. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. I do not pray for a kingdom, nor do I pray for gold, rubies, or wealth. I do not ask for a beautiful wife as desired by all men. I simply pray that Jagannath Swami, whose glories Lord Shiva always sing, may be the object of my vision. O Lord of the demigods, please quickly remove this useless material existence I am undergoing. O Lord of the Yadus, please destroy this vast, shoreless ocean of sins. Alas, this is certain. Lord Jagannath bestows his lotus feet upon those who feel themselves fallen and have no shelter in this world but him. May that Jagannath Swami be the object of my vision. The self restrained, virtuous soul who recites these 8 verses, glorifying Lord Jagannath, becomes cleansed of all sins and duly proceeds to Lord Vishnu's abode. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Meenu Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes, wonderful. So, Jagannath Swami, as he, at every step, he's saying at every step, groups of assemblies of Brahmanas chant his holy names. So, like that, we are going to celebrate Jagannath Rath Yatra wonderfully this coming Saturday, 20th of September in Mason, as part of the Heritage Parade. And we'll have assemblies of Brahmanas. Because yesterday, as we were reading in Prabhupada Lilamrita, Prabhupada says, whoever is chanting the holy names, he is qualified to be a Brahmana, right? So we follow the 4 regulative principles, we chant the holy names, and we take initiation when we are ready. And with that, we become a Brahmana, not the so-called caste Brahmanas, Smarta Brahmanas, who have kind of artificially imposed themselves as somebody being born in a Brahmana family. Just by being born in a Brahmana family, one doesn't become a Brahmana. It is through the qualities of your character that one becomes a Brahmana. That's what Prabhupada was teaching us yesterday. So let's continue with Prabhupada Lilamrit. So may Jagannatha Swami give us eternal shelter at his lotus feet if we take shelter of the lotus feet of Jagat Guru. So from Jagannath Ji, let's go to Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Let's read Prabhupada Lilamrit. We are on chapter 38. Yesterday we were discussing this chapter is titled No One Listens to a Poor Man. And Prabhupada, literally came as a poor man materialistically with just 40 rupees in his pocket when he landed in US. But he was so rich spiritually that today, even though this chapter says no one listens to a poor man, everybody is listening to Srila Prabhupada and his instructions through his wonderful books and scriptures that he has given to the whole world so painstakingly, staying up all night and writing all this for us, dictating all this. So yesterday we saw Prabhupada was defeating all the arguments of Mayavadis and Shaivites and Smarta Brahmanas in Madras, and also the wonderful exchange of how he enabled Saraswati to develop the mood of separation. So same mood like we have. You should never think, oh, we did Jagannath Rath Yatra once, twice, oh, we have gone to so many Jagannath Rath Yatras. And we know, no, Prabhupada is teaching again that no matter, that is the quality of a pure Vaishnava, that they never say that they have seen Krishna. That is the mood of the Goswamis. And in that mood, he was teaching Saraswati and all the devotees yesterday that we should always have that mood of separation. And separation, service and separation is the topmost, like the gopis did. Like what Braj Mohan Prabhu was also telling us over the weekend. Gopis worship is the topmost because they were worshipping Krishna in separation. So like that, we are worshipping Jagannath in separation, and this Saturday we can pull him into our hearts. Okay, so Prabhupada has transitioned from Madras to Vizag. He's very happy again. He always loves these beach walks. So he's on the seashore with his disciples, taking his morning walks, and we'll continue reading from here. Okay. Guru Kripa. Prabhupada would talk philosophy on and on. There were many things I couldn't understand. I would just listen anyway. Although I couldn't remember anything, I would just hear and hear, but it hadn't registered yet. I used to walk behind him on the beach, and I figured that if I can't follow his teachings or example yet, at least let me step in his footsteps in the sand. Vishakha. Sometimes a dog would try to follow us or would bark at us. We were all surprised to see how Prabhupada would flick his cane and the dog would run away. Once, when we passed a cow on the road, Prabhupada gave her ample room to pass, and he told us the story of how he had been gored by a cow shortly after he had taken sannyas. Tejas. Once on a morning walk, Prabhupada was speaking about the dog. He gave a reference to a shloka by Chanakya Pandit about the 5 good qualities of a dog, that he is very faithful and satisfied with anything. And soon Prabhupada said, we should be Krishna's dog. He was also speaking about how our pujaris should never be paid. The teacher and the pujari should never receive a salary. They must work in pure devotion. The Kshatriya also. He said that was the mistake in government today, that the Kshatriyas are being paid. He discussed so many things, one after another. Nanda Kumara, Srila Prabhupada would tell us to go bathe in the ocean. Go to the beach, he would say. So one day I asked him, Srila Prabhupada, whenever I go down to the beach, the sun is warm on my body. The water feels so good. The sand, it seems like such a comfortable material situation. How should I understand your reason for asking us to go to the beach? I know the spiritual master never gives the disciple anything that will cause him to become materially attached, but always gives him whatever he needs to remember Krishna. But when I go to the beach, it seems I just enjoy my senses. How can I relate that to Krishna? How can I understand that this instruction is for my spiritual benefit? Prabhupada said, the sun is there. Krishna is the light of the sun. The ocean is there. Krishna is the taste of water. You are surrounded by Krishna. How can you forget Krishna? He is all around you. Panchajanya. I was a new devotee and I asked Prabhupada, what about swimming, Srila Prabhupada? Is that not Maya? Prabhupada said, Lord Chaitanya used to go swimming all the time. He used to play ball, so you can go and swim. Just make sure you remember Krishna. Puri Maharaj's ashram was a simple single-story building of about 8 rooms. When he offered Prabhupada a room next to his own, Prabhupada was pleased, accepting it as an expression of friendship. Prabhupada relaxed with his god brothers, Puri Maharaj and Ananda Brahmachari, speaking with them in Bengali. Puri Maharaj said He appreciated Prabhupada's work and his Western disciples. Prabhupada's disciples had already seen formal exchanges of obeisances between Prabhupada and his god brothers, as when in Bombay they had seen Prabhupada get off his Vyasasan and offer dandavats to his god brothers. But in Vishakhapatnam they saw more intimate dealings. They saw for the first time Srila Prabhupada living comfortably at ease in the same quarters as his god brothers, and they didn't feel themselves being treated condescendingly or superficially or being regarded as oddities. Through Prabhupada's guidance, they began to learn more of the essential, friendly, and humble exchanges between Vaishnavas. Prabhupada's godbrother, Ananda, was eager to cook and serve not only Srila Prabhupada, but all his disciples. Ananda was elderly, and yet he took the position of always offering menial service. Although he spoke very little English, Prabhupada's disciples could perceive the affection of Ananda and Srila Prabhupada for each other. Ananda's communication with Prabhupada's disciples was particularly through his cooking and serving prasadam. Each morning, everyone would gather on the veranda outside Prabhupada's quarters, the men sitting on one side, the ladies on the other. Down the center aisle, Ananda would walk briskly, distributing prasadam, while Prabhupada sat at one end in a wooden chair, fingering his japa beads and observing the devotees take prasadam. Prabhupada had supplied money to the ashram, and Ananda was regularly cooking sumptuous feasts, deep fried chunks of potatoes in powdered spices, rice, yogurt, dal, three different types of sabjis, French fries, chutney, malpura, rajkeli, sandesh, shira, and everything cooked to a nectarian standard of excellence. Prabhupada would sit at the head of the two rows of devotees and encourage them to take prasadam. Give him more, Prabhupada would praise Ananda's cooking, smiling with pleasure to see his disciples accept prasadam. The devotees would finish, having been induced to eat as much as they possibly could, and Srila Prabhupada would say aloud the Premadhvani. Then all the devotees would shout in response, Jaya! After one such feast, Prabhupada called the devotees into his room and remarked, See how he is cooking. He cooks everything. He serves it. And then he doesn't eat until everyone is fully satisfied. This is Vaishnava. How he should act. He is more satisfied to serve than to enjoy himself. The feast continued twice a day. And in the evening, many guests arrived to take prasadam, chant in the kirtanas, and hear Srila Prabhupada's lecture. One day, Srila Prabhupada took his disciples to see a famous temple of Lord Narsimha, Sri Simhachalam, on top of a hill about 5 miles north of Vishakhapatnam. Thousands of stone steps led up the hill to the temple, which was situated in a natural amphitheater on the side of the hill. Prabhupada said the temple, which was now run by followers of the Ramanuja sect, was particularly important because Lord Chaitanya had visited there on his tour of South India. Srila Prabhupada chose to approach the temple by car, riding up the winding road past orchards of mango, jackfruits, and cashew, and fields of pineapple. On arriving at the temple, Srila Prabhupada and his disciples met one of the temple Brahmanas, who showed them around the grounds. The temple buildings were of black granite and carved into the rock were the forms and pastimes of Vishnu, especially in his incarnation of Lord Narsimha. As Prabhupada moved from place to place, building to building, he sometimes rode up steep stairs on a palanquin carried by 4 men. When Prabhupada came upon an immense banyan tree at the lower end of the temple grounds, he said that the tree must be thousands of years old. As he stood beneath the tree, his servant Nanda Kumar handed him a small champaka flower. Extending his thumb and forefinger from his bead bag, Prabhupada held the champaka flower and looked fondly at it. This flower, he said, is the color of Lord Chaitanya, and this flower is the most loved all over India. This flower is beautiful to look at and beautiful to smell. He carried the small saffron gold flower between his fingers throughout the rest of the morning. When Prabhupada and his group entered the inner sanctum where the deity of Lord Narasimha resided, their guide explained that the Murti dated back to the time of Prahlad Maharaj. An ancient king named Pururava and his consort Urvashi had once visited this hill, and at the request of Urvashi, the Murti who appeared to her in a dream had been excavated. The Lord had ordained that he should be worshipped in this place, but that he would give darshan only one day a year, during the month of Vaishak. The rest of the year he would be entirely covered with ground sandalwood pulp mixed with camphor and other scents. Therefore, the deity now appeared to be only a lump covered with a layer of sandalwood. Prabhupada commented that the sandalwood was to keep the deity cool headed. Madhavananda. When Prabhupada was at the Narsimha temple in Vishakhapatnam, it was the same as when he was in Vrindavan. When he got out of the car, he was very grave. We went into the temple and there was a chamber. Then we went down. The walls were 4 feet thick, and it seemed like hundreds of feet of tunnels before we got into the inner sanctum. There was the deity with just a mound of sandalwood paste on him. As soon as we entered, Prabhupada said, "Begin chanting the Narsimha mantra." So we started singing Tavakara Kamala Varena Kamadbhuta Shringam, and we circumambulated the deity. Then we stood before the deity and Prabhupada offered obeisances. Guru Kripa. When we came into the deity room, Prabhupada had us sing the Narasimha prayers. He always manifested such devotion. That was what separated him from us. Not only his learning or his knowledge, but his devotion. In these places, we would see him become very silent, very grave, and when we would speak, such peace would fill us from within. When he would speak, you could feel it. He was constantly convincing us of Krishna consciousness, not purposely, but he was just being himself. In these places, it would come out. When Prabhupada stood with us before the deity, we couldn't even see. There was just a mound of sandalwood. There was one Brahmana with big earlobes, and he had a ring in his ear. We offered some money, but it was a very devotional time. Prabhupada didn't say much, and the main reason was that these places are appreciated according to one's spiritual advancement. The details and facts and the history are not really that important. There is nothing really to say. Prabhupada would just make sure we had the proper respect and didn't commit any offense. Prabhupada would lecture in the evening, speaking sometimes at schools and social clubs in Vishakhapatnam. During the program at the Ramakrishna Hall, where more than 1,000 people attended, Srila Prabhupada's dancing induced the entire audience to dance. The devotees danced in a ring around Srila Prabhupada and the Kirtana continued for an hour. At another program, a bearded American anthropologist rode up on a motorcycle to attend Prabhupada's lecture and Kirtana. Afterward, the anthropologist told Srila Prabhupada that he had come to India to study the primitive tribes. Prabhupada told him it was simply a waste of time. "Why do you want to study the primitive people?" he asked. "Why don't you study the exalted people?" And Prabhupada narrated a story. One time, a poor man roasted a cob of corn and then began picking off the kernels one at a time and eating them. In this way, it took him many hours to finish. He did this, Prabhupada said, because he had nothing else to do, just to pass the time of the day. In the same way, the study of anthropology was simply a waste of time. Prabhupada asked, "Why don't you study some person or group of persons from whom you can learn something?" During the day, Prabhupada would sit outside his room and enjoy the atmosphere. He wore no shirt and his healthy body shone with a golden luster as he sat drinking freshly pressed sugarcane juice. "This is just how it is in Vaikuntha," he said. "There is always a very cool, pleasant breeze." He often walked about, chanting, talking about Krishna, listening to the devotees' kirtans, and observing the activities of the temple. Repeatedly, Prabhupada invited Puri Maharaj to come and preach in the West. He requested him to at least come to Mayapur for ISKCON's international gathering of devotees. Prabhupada felt that Puri Maharaj, on seeing all the Western disciples, might feel moved to join him and preach. Puri Maharaj agreed to accompany Prabhupada to Calcutta and Mayapur, and the pleasant week in Vishakhapatnam came to an end with Prabhupada, his disciples, and Puri Maharaj looking forward to traveling together to Calcutta. Guru Kripa. Although we arrived at the train station early, the train was already at the platform. It was very hot, and 5 or 6 of us were having kirtan. Then Shamsundara climbed up a coconut tree and got this fantastic coconut. He opened it and gave it to Prabhupada, who proceeded to drink a lot. Then Prabhupada gave it to Shamsundara and Shamsundara drank. Then Prabhupada said, "Give it to the Kirtana members." Each man in the Kirtana group was so thirsty that he wasn't even thinking of leaving any for the next man, but would just pass this coconut around, and the thing wouldn't empty. I tilted it up, and the coconut water was coming out, pouring on my shirt, and I was drinking and drinking, but still it wouldn't empty. We were amazed. Prabhupada was smiling, and we were chanting. We all became cool and satisfied. Shamsundara. Prabhupada and I were in a first class railway coach, a private compartment for 2 persons, clackety clacking through the warm Indian night, somewhere between Vishakhapatnam and Calcutta. Prabhupada was talking and joking and playing tapes until around 10:30 p.m. when he lay down to take rest. For a while, I switched off the lights. At about midnight, Prabhupada sat upright and called my name. "Shamsundara, take dictation," he said. Then followed a train of thoughts so lucid and coherent that I could only conclude that while we think Srila Prabhupada is sleeping, he is actually not sleeping, but is thinking, reflecting on ways to serve Krishna more and more. Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll read a few more paragraphs of chapter 39. "I will build a wonderful temple for you. Prabhupada had postponed the Mayapur cornerstone laying ceremony until Gaura Purnima, the appearance day of Lord Chaitanya. February 29, 1972. He had requested a big festival with a pandal and free feasting for guests. His disciples from all over the world would attend. I want very much to hold this function this year with all of my students. It is a very important day and it will be a great service to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and to his son Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So please arrange for this program. In December, when the war had broken out between India and Pakistan over Bangladesh near Mayapur, the Indian government had forbidden foreigners to stay in the northern area of West Bengal. The devotees had vacated, returning a few weeks later when the war had ended. They had continued arranging for the festival, and a few days before Gaura Purnima, Prabhupada arrived to stay with them. When Prabhupada saw a banner on bamboo poles, "Welcome, Srila Prabhupada," he remarked, "I don't know if my godbrothers will like this." He had already heard that some of his godbrothers objected to his taking the same title as their spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. He had not actually taken the name, but his disciples had given him the name a few years ago in America. In May 1968, while in Boston, Prabhupada had been dictating a letter and had mentioned to his secretary that Swamiji was the third class title for the spiritual master. Then why do we call you Swamiji? His secretary had asked. The spiritual master, Prabhupada replied, is usually addressed by names like Gurudev, Vishnupad, or Prabhupada. May we call you Prabhupada? His secretary had asked. Prabhupada replied yes, and his disciples had switched from Swamiji to Prabhupada. One of the devotees had inquired further from Prabhupada about the meaning of the word and had published a statement in Back to Godhead magazine. Prabhupada. The word Prabhupada is a term of the utmost reverence in Vedic religious circles, and it signifies a great saint, even among saints. The word actually has two meanings. First, one at whose feet, Pada, there are many Prabhus, a term meaning master, which the disciples of a guru use in addressing each other. The second meaning is one who is always found at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Master. In the line of disciplic succession through which Krishna consciousness is conveyed to mankind, there have been a number of figures of such spiritual importance as to be called Prabhupada. Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada executed the will of his master, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore he and his associate Goswamis are called Prabhupada. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur executed the will of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and therefore he is also addressed as Prabhupada. Our spiritual master, Om Vishnupad Ashtotara Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj has, in the same way, executed the will of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada in carrying the message of love of Krishna to the Western world. And therefore, we American and European humble servants of His divine grace from all the different centers of the Sankirtan movement have followed in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada and prefer to address His grace, our spiritual master, as Prabhupada, and he has kindly said yes. Okay, let's pause here for today. That's wonderful. So Prabhupada again is teaching so many things. Each one, like we said, Prabhupada is so personal to all of his disciples. And it's so nice to see so many of their reflections, everybody sharing their personal exchange with Srila Prabhupada as he was taking those morning walks in Visakhapatnam on the beach, enjoying the cool breeze. And he's comparing everything, like he says, a devotee is fully surrounded by Krishna all the time. And he's giving practical examples of how he himself was always feeling the presence of Krishna, the loving shelter of Krishna around him all the time. And the breeze, he was comparing it to Vaikuntha, right? The swimming in the ocean, he's comparing how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to have wonderful sporting pastimes in water. So yeah, he was fully absorbed. And even here we see at the end how Shyamsundar Prabhu is saying that Prabhupada, even while he was sleeping, he was actually only thinking and remembering of Krishna. And he was now ready to dictate from Srimad Bhagavatam or whatever he was dictating. But every night, as we have read and we have seen, Prabhupada would kind of rest for a very short period of time. And even that rest actually is like we take, like Radheshyam Prabhu says, we cannot compare ourselves. Of course, we should not imitate, right? And we are not like Goswamis, or we are not like Prabhupads, as we just read here. All of these Prabhupads who are our spiritual acharyas they used to rest for just even a couple of hours or even less than that. Right? Haridas Thakur, he hardly used to have any time for his bodily needs. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, all of them, you see their examples, their day schedule, hardly any sleep, right? But that was because even whatever they, even the bhajan, the sadhana that they were doing was giving them um, the rest that they needed, their body, the rest that they needed, everything was accomplished. So even when they were sleeping, it's apparently so-called sleep also was actually their bhajan. So anyway, we cannot imitate, right? But we should at least follow in the footsteps, follow in the instructions, follow the qualities that they asked us to lead our lives by. So yeah, so many wonderful practical examples. Again, that is why we call them acharyas. And also very nice to see how Prabhupada is teaching his disciples again and again, like how a Vaishnava should behave, right? So in the assembly of Puri Maharaj, his god brothers, and that other god brother Ananda Prabhu, how he was serving so nicely, not just his god brother, but even his disciples. So he was so lovingly serving Srila Prabhupada, all the disciples, making sure he was cooking such a nice feast. I was just reading and reading that menu was not even ending. So so many things, he was cooking so lovingly. Like that when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to travel, his devotees in Navadvip and Jagannath Puri, as we are going to celebrate Jagannath Rath Yatra, they would cook so much of feast and they would offer to all the devotees. So like that, they were with such love and care. He was cooking, he was serving, and at the end, he was having himself. And that is the mood of a Vaishnava, that humility. That when you see somebody who is less advanced than you, like Narada Muni gives instruction in Srimad Bhagavatam, that we should have mood of compassion towards them. Like what is the topmost compassion? We have to get people liberated from the cycle of birth and death. So we share them the sweet nectar of bhakti with them. When we meet somebody who's equally advanced with us, then we develop loving friendship with them. So here we see that loving friendship of Srila Prabhupada and his god brothers. And then when we see somebody who's more advanced than us, then we take instructions from them. We offer, we offer our pranams. We surrender to them. We take instructions from them. So those are the different levels of relationships that Vaishnavas have. That is an instruction given by Shri Narad Muni. Okay, and we see that again practically here in the exchanges of Prabhupada and his god brothers. Okay, anybody else would like to share anything? Anything that touched your heart? Anything that you liked, loved? Any personal realizations that you have had around this theme from today? Everybody excited about Jagannath Rath Yatra? See, Devika Mataji, you are here. I think we missed you the other day when you asked that question, what was Chuya? So I mentioned that it was actually a scent taken out of sandalwood only, Mataji. So it was sandalwood paste with sandalwood kind of scent.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, anybody else would like to share anything? Say anything? Nalen Prabhu. I see Kamresh Prabhu's left, but Nalen Prabhu, you welcomed Jagannath Ji, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai in your home last week. So now Jagannath Ji is coming out on the street. He's so happy to be in Cincinnati. All righty. Okay, if nothing else, then maybe we'll pause here for today. Thank you so much for your kind association, always. And we'll end with Vaishnava Pranam prayers. वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंतकोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय। जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ रथ यात्रा महामहोत्सव की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। हरि हरि बोल।
Hari.
Thank
Wish
you,
you,
Prabhuji. Have a great
wish you
day.
happy
Hare Krishna.
Jagannath Rath Yatra, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.